So far, you've seen how to animate using frame-by-frame animation as well as shape tweening. Now, if you have a good grasp on shape tweening, then actually constructing the next type of tweening called motion tweening should be no problem for you at all. Now, if you're just jumping to this motion tweening chapter, you may want to reconsider and go back and watch the shape tweening chapter to get a good idea as to how Flash deals with tweening. Once you have a good idea of how tweening works, it should be a snap for you to jump right into motion tweening and understand exactly what's going on. Now, motion tweening is a little bit different than shape tweening, in that with shape tweening you would deal with having one shape animate or morph into another shape. So when you're dealing with shape tweening, you would usually be dealing with two separate shapes. With motion tweening, however, you focus on moving one single shape around the stage. Now, motion tweening doesn't have to animate just the motion. There are other things you can do with motion tweening, such as animating the alpha or the brightness or the tint or some of the other color effects that we looked at earlier. Now, when you deal with motion tweening, you should really be motion tweening a symbol. So the first thing you should probably do is create a symbol to motion tween. Go ahead and select your oval tool, and then pick a stroke and a fill color and define your stroke properties if you'd like. Then on your stage, go ahead and draw a circle. Now you need to convert this circle into a symbol by selecting your selection tool. You can do that very easily by pressing the V key on your keyboard. Then double click on the fill of that circle to select both the fill and the stroke if you created one. Then choose Modify, Convert to Symbol. Go ahead and name this symbol Orange Circle. Make sure the behavior is set to graphic, and then click OK. So now on the stage is an instance of your graphic symbol. Again, you're going to do an animation, so you should ask yourself those two questions. What do you want to do, and how long do you want it to take? Well, I want this orange circle to move across the stage from left to right. How long do I want that whole animation to take? I want it to take 1 second. So I already know where my circle, the orange circle graphic symbol, is going to be on the stage, and how many keyframes I'm going to need, and where the orange circle will be in those keyframes. I know that my orange circle here on frame 1 is going to start on the left-hand side of the stage. So that's where I'm going to move my orange circle here on frame 1. Now I know my animation is going to take 1 second in time, so I'm going to select 1 second in time, again looking at my frame rate, which is 20 frames per second. That means 20 frames is 1 second, so I'm going to select frame 20. And then, whereas before when we dealt with shape tweening, we would add a blank keyframe because we wanted to draw a different shape that the first shape would animate to. But again, with motion tweening, you're animating the same symbol. I'm going to have this orange circle graphic symbol move across the stage, not a different one, this exact symbol. That's the one that's going to animate. Because of that, I'm not going to insert a blank keyframe down here on frame 20. I'm going to insert that exact same symbol. So I'm going to insert a keyframe. Again, keyframes represent changing points. What's changing? The circle is going to be in a different position. That's what's changing. So with frame 20 selected, you can easily and quickly, as I mentioned previously, insert a keyframe by pressing F6 on your keyboard. It's going to inherit whatever's on the stage in the keyframe before it. Well, the keyframe before it, frame 1, had the orange circle graphic symbol right here on the stage. So when you inserted a new keyframe, it inherited that orange circle graphic symbol on the same place on the stage. Now again, this can be considered a different instance, but that's okay when you're dealing with a motion tween. So here on keyframe 20, 1 second in time, where do I want that orange circle graphic symbol to be? I don't want it to be here on the left. I want it to be on the right-hand side of the stage. So that's where I'm going to move it to. I'm going to click and drag that orange circle graphic symbol over to the right. Also, if you hold down your Shift key while you're dragging it, you'll notice that even though I move my mouse up and down a little bit, it constrains the dragging to move it only from left to right, not up or down. That way, if I want to move something from directly left or right, I can hold down my Shift key while I'm dragging it to constrain that motion. When I have it in place, I just let go, and I've moved my orange circle graphic symbol over to the right-hand side of the stage. So there's the skeleton of my animation. If I take my playhead and I move it back here to frame 1, that's where the orange circle graphic symbol is going to start the animation. But by 1 second in time, frame 20, that's where it's going to end on that side of the stage, on the right-hand side. Now, again, just like with shape tweening, to turn on shape tweening, once you're ready, you click the first keyframe in that animation, and then down in your Properties panel, from the Tween pull-down menu, you select, not shape this time, this is a motion tween, so choose Motion. As I also mentioned previously, a motion tween is color tinted blue. With a shape tween, if you remember, it was color tinted green. Now if I take my playhead and I scrub it to the right, you can see that animation sliding over to the right hand side. So again, Flash does all the work for you in a tween. All you have to do is specify where you want your symbol to start, where you want it to end, and where you place that keyframe in time is how long that animation takes to animate from the beginning to the end. So motion tweens, as you see, are really simple to accomplish. You should really use a symbol when dealing with a motion tween, as we have here. We have our orange circle graphic symbol, and all you have to do is specify where you want that symbol to be and how long you want it to take to get to those points. If you wanted your symbol to continue animating and doing different things, you would just have to add more keyframes, and again, where you place those keyframes in your timeline determines how long it takes to get from point to point to point in the animation. And then you can just move that symbol around the stage on those keyframes to tell Flash to move that symbol to those points. So creating motion tweens is very similar to creating shape tweens, and as you can see, it's actually pretty easy to create. In the next movie, I'm going to show you how to add a little spice to this animation by playing around with the color effects for this particular symbol to just make it look a little bit more interesting. I'm also going to show you how to play around with the easing, which I briefly mentioned earlier. That allows you to control how fast or how slow a symbol moves in or out of a keyframe. We're going to be looking at that in the next movie.